Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Postmatch. Liverpool lose to Spurs 1-0 in a shady-ass goal, but we'll talk about the goal and some of the other stuff that happened. Definitely not what we were expecting game-wise. Definitely not score-wise, but, the game itself as well. Brian is with us. Sergi is with us. Brian, we will start with you. I mean, like I said, it's not like the type of game we were expecting in terms of, you expect a more high scoring and stuff like that. But what do you make of the performance overall? The hopes for a reaction from the United performance, and it was nowhere near it.
We seem pretty disjointed. I mean, we just seem like there was a like this was the first time you saw these players play with each other on the pitch. A lot of instances, especially that first half. I mean, I know that we had the break right there with with Spurs injured player, which I hope he's doing okay now. I mean, it was
Yeah.
pretty tragic little moment there, but this was like we just weren't connecting right. But overall, the match right there was. I mean, we didn't play really poor. It was like, I mean, even we were talking Discord. I think a lot of it had to just been the last. Just our finishing was just really off in this match right there. I mean, we had some chances, but this it wasn't there. And then plus you throw in the 12th man on the pitch right there, which that we had to deal with. So I mean, again, it's the first leg. It's 1-0. I'm not overly concerned.
Yeah, it's just more disappointing than anything else. I guess the part that disappoints me, Sergi, is twice in a row we made a team that is not that organized, and that's their weakness, look organized. Even after they lost Bentancur, you would think that midfield would have struggled a lot more, and I really thought, I'm like, okay, we're going to dominate midfield. And really, the last 10, 15 minutes of the first half, you kind of control the game, and it ends up being how I envisioned the game to be. Why not be able to create as many chances? I mean, the big chances created, they're at 4, we're at 3, even though we had 60% ball possession. Total shots is 14-9 in terms of Liverpool. It says goalkeeper saves 6, but I mean, really, he did
No.
not have to make any crazy saves. This was a good, like a debut performance for the goalie over there, who I thought is really great with his feet, by the way. I thought he had a good game, but not saving wise.
Yeah. We just didn't show any urgency, and it just feels like anyone would think we lost against United on Sunday. Who didn't? It was a draw. It does obviously feel like a loss, seeing as we're 2-1 ahead. I just don't understand lack of confidence, but I don't understand. Maybe just because there's so many changes in the back and we're disjointed. Badly is probably our best player today, but Costas did everything he could not to keep the ball. Kwanzaa, was again trying his little cocky moves and just not coming off. Whether that's because of the ball or whether it's just overhitting the ball, whatever it is. And so there was just no coherence in that defense. It wasn't It wasn't one of Macca's best games. Jones was missing again. Slot hasn't done many things wrong this season in terms of lineups. He's proven us wrong, but I don't know why Elliot didn't play. And maybe just gave Jones like what we thought we'd give with Trent. Another game to redeem himself and get back on the pitch and redeem himself. And Jones just went missing, and it shows why Szoboszlai again. And I said this at pre, like I was one of Szoboszlai's biggest critics, but it just shows why we need Szoboszlai in this team. And I just don't understand why Elliot didn't play. Salah, and it's like what we're saying on Discord, if he's not scoring, some of his game is just, it's just not there. And you can't fault Gakpo's performance or his efforts. They were there too. It's just, it's one of them games. It's weird. It's not really many games that, as a Liverpool fan, I felt like I don't care if we lost because we still got another leg, which is in a month. And if we were going to lose a game, I'd rather lose this. And it was only 1-0, and just for the players to reset themselves.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, in that sense, I do agree to that, but it just felt like, I guess I was expecting more of a reaction. I really thought Trent would be put out there just because, this is the kind of game that you need his passing. I thought Bradley did really well. You knew he was not going to give you 90 coming back from the injury.
Yeah.
I don't know. You kind of like look at some of the performances. That's the thing, Brian. Like I look and I say, I don't, the referee call, I think we can all agree is bullshit. That should have been a second yellow to a red. Not only that should have been a second yellow and red, the guy you injured as you should have gotten that red is on the sideline, not being allowed back in, which makes Konate have come all the way across because there's no left back to track back and stuff. So we can talk. I mean, the way we consider this bullshit, that's probably why I'm more pissed. Otherwise, really, this game had 0-0 written all over it. I look at our performance. I don't see anybody horrible. I find it really hard to find good, like maybe decent performances. So it had 0-0 written all over it. I think the way that goal came in is more aggravating than the final result itself.
I mean, there was a lot of, I'd say there was a lot of like middle level 6s and 7 rating players in that home. I mean, there was nobody, there was an 8 or 9. There was nobody there was nobody that was really down to like a 3 or a 2 or below or anything like that. It was just a match. And again, it felt like it was a lot more like a training session through part of that match. I mean, like it was trying to figure out where people were going. I think my big worry right now is going to be in that center half position right there if we're without Kwanzaa. I mean, what do we do on this right there when I have a 70% Konate and that's it right there for that left side? I mean, we're going to have to figure whether Endo's going to be this guy to fill that role or whether we're going to have to go out to the market, get somebody on loan because I don't see anybody right there. Norris can't fill that position right there for the U21s. So we're going to have to figure out something in that position because I don't even know how long Gomez is out. I haven't even seen any more ratings about what
February. I was looking at it today. Okay. It said early February for Gomez, but he's coming from, I think, the hammy. So it's, it's one of those that you got to ease him in. You can't just trot him out there and get him back for another 2 months. We kind of made this mistake this time last year where we rushed guys in.
Correct. Too many fixtures that we have coming in January to not have to be only down with two solid center halves and to go through with Accrington Stanley, which I would play a kid right there in that spot right there on there, and then then you still have a very important match with Nottingham Forest coming up, and then another round of the Champions League that we have to go through and get a point out of. So I mean. There's definitely some questions right there for the Edwards and company right there to figure out.
That's the thing. Going back to the urgency thing. I mean, you were talking about it's almost like we played like there's a second leg to this, and it was almost like a bit too comfortable. If it happens, it happens. At least it came across like that. And honestly, Sergi, it just looked like that midfield was tired. Maybe that's where we needed the rotation, and I would think Endo would have come in earlier for that. But what do you make of Endo? I guess let's start with him because he was a pleasant surprise. But is it a pleasant surprise because it's a surprise, and most surprises are semi-pleasant? Is that the kind of a deal, or
no? I mean, Endo did what we know he's capable of doing. And he was just professional and went about his job. Again, put more effort in than Jones did the entire game. The selection was wrong, and like I say, I think we've said it. He hasn't got that many decisions wrong this season. But I would have played Kelleher for sure in goal, and I would have played Elliott. It was just such a weird game, but like you said, maybe in the back of their head, it's one of them games. Like even if we get a 0-0 out of it, we go back to Anfield in a month's time. And maybe think, they'll kill it off there. But we had a very strong team out there compared to Spurs, who literally scraping for the barrel, playing against us. That's the more worrying thing. And now we've got, our worst nightmare pretty much is almost coming true. Like we're down to one regular fullback and a 75% ready fullback. And what do? You've got Accrington Stanley. Like I wouldn't pay Virgil. I wouldn't even. I would just send him out of the country. But and Brian probably knows more about this than I do. I don't watch the under 21s. I don't know who we have. But at this point, call Yo Matip up and ask him to play a game. Just
Nance Phillips to the duty. I mean, yeah, who do we have, Brian, that you would feel comfortable?
I mean, probably really only Norris, really. I mean, because all the other ones right there are really, I mean, aren't really up to this level right there. I mean, they're basically, because we've been meshing the U18s with the U21s a lot over the past, like in the academies lately. So I don't know if there's a player I'd put against Accrington Stanley at the moment. I mean, I think we're maybe forced into having to play Virgil or putting Endo back there and with a kid, just to go there and make do. I agree with what Cersei said. I'd send Virgil a holiday ticket right there and say, hey, go home, go to Amsterdam and hang out with your friends for like for a weekend or something like that. Because if he goes down, we're in real problems.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably like one of the downfalls of the game, right? Like, I mean, we don't know what the issue is either. He felt something. Then somebody said chest. I did not even see. It looked like he was reaching for that ball that bounced weird. Like Arteta says, I blame the ball. It just bounced weird, and then he kind of like kicked it to the throw-in, and I think like he maybe like reached out too long and pulled something. I'm hoping maybe he just felt something, played it safe, but you would think I don't know, as hungry as that kid probably is, unless he felt it was something serious, he probably would not want to come off, because it's like an opportunity for him to kind of get the confidence back, get his playing minutes back and stuff like that. And he knows better than anybody. You got to be out there putting in performances to stay out there in the long term kind of deal. And, go ahead.
I mean, these are two matches right there at Kwanzaa needed right there too. That's really sad for the kid, because I do think that he would definitely have been playing against Accrington Stanley on Saturday also. So I mean, it just messes with his progress, and I think that this is kind of going into the moment now where we may see Kwanzaa, if we do have another center back come in, we may see Kwanzaa come out there and possibly get loaned out next year. I mean, it's a distinct possibility, because I don't think that Slot has the confidence in him that Klopp had in him. So and you can kind of tell that. I mean, Galley was talking about it last night. I mean, you can tell when a manager or a head coach feels this player and fits his needs. And I don't think that Kwanzaa is right at that level at the moment. I mean, he's a kid, so he has a lot to grow. Yeah. I mean, defenders don't come good until they're 25, 26. I mean, sometimes even later than that right there. I mean, so he's got another couple of years in him. I do think that, that we, and I said this before right there in one of the other post matches, I think that we came there with him. We built him up higher than what he should be at this progress state on him. And we've done that a lot with a lot of players. Nico Williams. I mean, you can go down the list of them right there.
Good old Ben Woodburn. Remember Ben Woodburn?
Ben Woodburn. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's Harry Wilson. I mean, it's a whole list of them right there. I just want I don't want this to kill the kid's career right there, but I do think that the kid needs to have a step back, and that may not be here at the moment.
And it's kind of hard to judge. Obviously, he got injured early, but it's kind of hard to judge. I mean, in the beginning, Costas had a couple of ridiculous misplaced passes throughout the midfield. It was just like, what are we doing over here? And the only thing I like about Kwanzaa is he does not play like, when he comes back, he does not play like a guy who is very worried and scared of making a mistake. He still does his thing. I mean, I know what you're saying, Cersei, in terms of like that cockiness and stuff, but I want that. Like, I want that. I don't want somebody be playing scared and kicking everything away to a throw-in and stuff like that either, because that would worry me more. I kind of like that confidence and the confidence he has in himself. That's like you're saying, Brian, it's kind of like unfortunate, because this is when he would get the opportunities to play. These two games were going to be big for him. I mean, okay, so now here's the thing. When we look at this lineup, now that the game ended like this, and we're talking about it, you were like, hey, we thought about these two games as good chances, good opportunities, if Ox was still here, for, like guys like, Elliott and Chiesa and stuff like that to get some minutes. When we see the lineup, Cersei, it almost looked more like we want to almost finish this off in the first game, get a good game, and like take the advantage into the second one. Did that kind of backfire by playing more tired players out there?
Yes. I think that team, I mean, it kind of contradicts itself. If you're going to play a strong team to finish this game off, then you should have played Trent. So, but if you're going to rotate and you play your backup players to give them some minutes, then you should have played Kelleher and Elliott. So, it's his selection just kind of contradicting himself. It was just like a weird selection today. And even Allison, just the best keeper in the world, and he just he got away with one when he got tackled in our own box, and then it's. I mean, the goal wasn't his fault, but still, it's even the distribution from everyone was just poor, or all around that pitch. McAllister, it's like he was trying to control, a lead ball. Like it was a bad game. And if you're gonna have a bad game, I'd rather this one than
I mean, that's the thing that Aaron is saying. Like it's still in the Mickey Mouse. I mean, I did want to. I mean, a trophy is a trophy, and it would be a good way to start. I almost feel like, especially for teams in a title race, it's something that can additionally boost as well. Spencer says clearly was a second yellow. I don't think, I agree with this. I don't think we deserved a win. I don't agree that it was a shit performance. I mean, I think, Cersei's meh explain, like, says everything to me, Brian. It was kind of like a meh performance that resulted in a meh game for both teams, which deserved a meh result in 0-0. It's just that poor call eventually ends up, and never fails, right? A bullshit call, like a bullshit corner kick you give away always results in a goal and stuff. I believe in that crap. Whenever you're like, dude, that was fucking bullshit. It's only a corner. What's the big deal? But those corners, those fouls, those set pieces always result in goals. I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at the performance, Brian, I feel like we deserve to draw out of that. I don't think we can come out and say like, oh, we deserve to win. This the ref, blah, blah, blah. But I felt like we deserve to come out with a draw.
I think a lot of the emotions right now are because we were a response out of what we saw on Sunday. And I think that's where a lot of this is going, because in the long run right there, it wasn't a bad performance. It was just like you expected more and you didn't get more. I mean, it should have been a 0-0 draw on this right there. I mean, I think that there was some questionable calls, but I mean, we can't keep on every week going there blaming officiating for what happens on the pitch. I mean, there are things right here, like I said in Discord right there, like we were talking about Simicast earlier. The squared ball on top of the box tells you why Simicast is not going to be Robbo's replacement. Those are things that you don't put extra stress on your center halves with right there, and he did, and it luckily didn't cost us. But these are things right there you expect more from these players, especially the players that were put on there, to actually rise above. You wanted Conther to Quanta to Conther to rise above. You wanted Simicast to rise above. You wanted Jones to come back and have a response. As far as Trent goes, I think Trent was in the right spot. I think Trent needed to sit down. I think he needed a moment. I mean, on this right there. But I get what you were saying right there. It seems like, if we're going to win this, if we're going to come out and try to win this match, play the full strength side, not some mishmash side. If we're coming in this and saying, hey, guess what? This is just the League Cup, and we just want to go there and make sure we get minutes because it's a two-legger, then we should have had Kelleher out there, like Cersei said. We should have had Harvey out there. We should have had Chiesa go there and play. I mean, players like that. It's like either all in or not in. And we were kind of like, we kind of like had our foot in the door and kind of leaning out of the door at the same time right there. And it's like, and, again, it's the first leg. It's a 1-0, and they have to come to Anfield. I mean, and that's not a good friendly spot for them to come into Anfield. They don't have very good record, a good record playing there.
I mean, in Slot's defense, the rotation he did was mainly, I mean, not that bad. Bradley had a decent game, and Kwanzaa we don't even know because he got injured. And that's your main part of the rotation he did. Really, it's your other, starting 11. Szoboszlai is not there, so Jones is there. So it's not like, he did like a huge mishmash where we're like, there's so many disconnected pieces and stuff like that. I mean, I think we all agree that Robertson, you don't want to keep trotting Robertson out there playing 90 minutes. I mean, the thing with Costas is, and I think I said it mid-game too, I mean, I've been saying it for a while. I mean, not only he looks like he hasn't slept in weeks, He plays like he hasn't slept in weeks, energy-wise. I mean, it's one thing to be like, you look at McAllister, right? He's not a big dude at all. I mean, he's not as small as he looks either, but he's strong. He's strong on the ball, and he goes into a tackle. Like, there was a point, I think it was in the second half, maybe like around like 68th minute. He literally bounced off of a guy. It was like a 10-year-old playing like an adult. And I feel like, aside from that, he's not that good on the ball. I was very offended when he had like 3-4 games and he put a couple of crosses and everybody's like, he's better than Robertson and stuff. Not even freaking close, I think, to replacing Robertson in the long run. So, I mean, that's the thing. Now we're in January. Obviously, if we were, in November, this conversation probably doesn't come up, Serzi. But now you're kind of seeing, or at least we're seeing, right, some spots where you might need reinforcements. Center back, mainly due to injuries, not because of who we have. Left back, I know, has been talked about for a while, and I know midfield has been talked about for a while. Having seen Costas, Endo, I really think we're going to see Morton and stuff probably this weekend playing. Where do you think the needs are right now? Or, is this just like an overreaction, as always, by fans?
No, I mean, the left back has been a concern for last 2 seasons. And you're right. I mean, I tried to defend Costas, and I really think we're just keeping him until Salah signs his contract, and then we can just sell him off after.
Or the last cup of coffee and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. It's part of Salah's contract. With the centre back, it's a tricky thing, because if you're going to buy a centre back, we need to buy someone who's better than Konate, because there's no point in buying someone level below him who's just going to sit on the bench, and that player's not going to want to come to us. And January, you're going to pay over the odds for a player like that. So we either need to buy someone
who's going to give up a player like that in January, because if he's that good, his team is going to need him.
Or anyone that's trying to trying to balance out the PFR. That's the only. So we're not going to get a decent centre back, and we know what Liverpool's like. It's not kidding ourselves. Unless there's a player that's available for like 30, 35 million, we're not going to get anyone. Zubimendi might have been it. I mean, my question is, what happened to the Crusader money? Like, at least use that money for Salah, Trent, and Virgil. You're going to spend 105 million on a player that had one good season. But we just know it, and now we've got a leaky roof, so that's going to be used as an excuse. I'm pretty sure it's
contract talk. It's not the money. Don't start the Serzi.
I'm saying with that money in regards to buying new players, we're not going to, and it wouldn't surprise me if Richard Hughes is out there putting holes in our roof just so we don't buy any new players. So it's. And it's just typical Liverpool. We have to strengthen from a place of strength, and we just don't do it. And it's been great up until this part, and it was just like that season when we beat Crystal Palace 7-0 away, and Minamino scored, and then we thought, okay, we're going to run away the league, and then everything just went bottoms up. And it's like it's a flip of a coin now where this goes, and we're just everyone says that Forest are one Chris Wood away from having the season ruined. We're one Virgil van Dijk injury away from the season going to pens.
I know, that's just way too fucking negative, even for you. Even by your standards, that's just way too negative. I don't understand. I mean, I know what you mean. And after a game like this, it's kind of hard to be like, this is going to be great. But I don't know. People cried and bitched and moaned all summer and expected a disaster scenario, and I would argue it has turned out pretty darn well so far.
No, it has.
So
sure.
I mean, but that's the thing. We can't say. Obviously, there's a reason why it's panned out. So you got to give him credit for that. And then we can't just say the moment there's 2 poor results, I knew it all along, because there's already people hiding in the bushes waiting to come out. I mean, I think that's just kind of unfair to the guys that bring you to this point. I mean, I saw right before we went on air, I saw a Facebook post. This guy is buying 6 players. So where the hell is everybody else going? I just don't understand, how the hell does this happen? It just doesn't make any sense. People think this is just you're not just putting in the refrigerator and then if the other one goes bad, you just throw it away. That shit doesn't work like that. I mean, you have to plan a squad, and squad planning is an art that fans should never have any part in. But having said that, Brian, there are needs. It looks like on paper. Do you think these are actual needs, or do you think, like Slot looks at this and says, yeah, maybe this one guy over here, but everything else, we got what we need?
I think there's a need for a center back, but I don't think we're going to go in and buy a center back. I could see us going for a loan for a stopgap center back, just to go kind of like what we did with Kabak. That one, when we brought him up in Discord.
When you get guys like that, they never freaking play.
Oh, I agree right there, but I think that you need to have somebody that to mesh between that and the academy, because you can't put an academy player out there in the league. So, I mean, we're going to try to scout that. As far as the left back goes, I said we need to address that last year. I don't think we're going to address it until the summertime. I mean, I think that we have enough people there to fill the needs there. I mean, even going back to Luke Chambers right there, who we have as a kid to play there. I do think that we're still one midfielder short. I think that I don't think that McConnell is ready for the spot, and I don't think Morton is really ready to go to have a full role. If we're going to splash the cash on that right there, then I would say let's buy a holding midfielder or somebody like that in there. That way we can free up McAllister, because I think that McAllister right there is in some essence, I know we kind of did this before, I think he's underutilized there in that role. I mean, he's dynamic there, but I think that he's a much better up as an 8/10, where he can impact the match a little bit more. I mean, I think that having him in a solid 3 with having him and Slabozlai with a holding midfielder behind there would be an amazing midfield. As far as offense goes, it depends what we're going to do with Darwin Nunez. And I don't think we're going to do anything. I don't think Darwin Nunez is leaving in January. I know everybody keeps talking about it. I don't think if he goes somewhere, it's not going to be till the summertime. And I'm holding my breath on that, because I'm not sure whether that's an option at the moment. But largely, I don't think we're going to make wholesale changes in January. January is a bad market to go and try to make good investments in. I mean, we've fared pretty fairly well with a couple, but we've actually got burned by a couple. I mean, Andy came there and burned us in that time period, but we got Suarez in that same January market. So I mean, it could be good, it could be bad right there. But I think that we have so many options out there that that the only thing that we could use would be another midfield option just to kind of solidify that back 3, because I do think that the back 2 right there are our pivots, because I think if we lose Gravenberch right there, we're having problems, and I think if we lose McAllister, we're having even more problems. I mean, so we have to come out there, be able to come out there and have somebody there. Because I don't think the Endo right there fully foots the role of what Slot wants to do. And I think that Curtis Jones right there, I don't even know what Curtis Jones does right now at the moment. I like Curtis Jones. I enjoy him, watching him right there, but I don't know what – he goes in like the biggest ways of a player I think I've ever seen. He can go so high and then drift down low. Him and Trent are like it's all like the ocean to me. I mean, they're like basically you're riding through waves of emotion right there, and waves of performances on the pitch. Because I mean, again, it goes from match to match. I mean, I can watch Trent go out there and rise up. I can watch Jones rise up, but then I go out there and watch a match where they needed to go out there and put that impact, and they don't. And so those are things right there to shape that we may need just like a shake up. And I think that it would be the only possibility. Other than that, I think we got our squad.
I think so. I mean, maybe like if you do, especially if you're gonna push back Endo, but I don't know. Like I would not want Endo as a regular center back, because you play it like let's say like Forest, for example, or any team you play where they can put a big. I think it works against. And honestly, even then, we ended up changing it because they started playing that long ball to Solanke and stuff like that. But I mean, you don't want Endo, because they always go away from Van Dijk, and they're gonna have like the tall dude over there going up the air balls. I mean, I think Endo did really well today, and I think this fits him more because he's seen the full field as opposed to receiving the ball with his back to the other side. So I think this suited him more. I mean, that's the thing though. He did well because we're not have like ridiculous expectations. If Jones played, I mean, Jones did not play a whole lot worse than Endo did today, but our bar and expectations are higher. So we're saying like Endo did decent, but then we're saying like, you know, they did about the same work. If you put Jones where Endo is, where he's seeing the vision and giving to Van Dijk and giving the other way, they're like, yeah, he didn't lose the ball. Well, yeah, because he's back there. So I think it's the bar. I know what you're saying, Brian, because we see some peaks. So you're like, oh, wow. Nunez on the other side, you don't even see any peak. I mean, that pass he did at the end, I would just freaking like, oh my God. Like where he just wins the ball in the corner, and I don't even know who the fuck he's standing where. First of all, we had 2 players up top. They had 5 defenders back there. He's sending him over there like you're playing freaking like, you know, like football with your son or something. Like, to the green card, go to the green card. I'm gonna throw. Like, what are you doing? Like, and he's that's I lost it.
Welcome to Thursday night.
Yeah. I might make an appearance tomorrow night just to vent on that. I mean, that was crazy. Real quick, I'm sure we'll talk about it. You guys will talk about it a lot more probably tomorrow. But off the top, aside from Bradley, who do you see starting this weekend? Z, who started today?
Kelleher for sure.
No. Players who started today that will start the weekends.
Costas, Bradley, I think Jota. I think that either Diaz or Gakpo.
Okay.
I think maybe
Diaz
Jones.
is well coming in, by the way, too.
Yeah.
But...
I think maybe Jones plays too as well.
Yeah, it's. I don't think so either. I hope the guy for Elliott's that he gets a game out there. And maybe
but who do we play? Because I don't see him playing McAllister and Gravenberch again. So who do we play?
I'm thinking Endo, Morton, Elliott.
Depending on Kwanzaa's injury, I don't see him playing Konate again. Or even if he does, he can't play Van Dijk. So
I think Van Dijk is playing. I think he's holding the hands of the subs and leading him out there. I hear you guys, and I'm not a big fan of it, but I think that's what's going to happen at the end. It might be a kid that Van Dijk guides in the back, kind of a deal, like Norris or somebody. And then I think we kind of like do this mishmash. But there are guys like Nunez will be out there driving us all nuts. Maybe Diaz will be out there and stuff like that. But I think you so. Some heavy. You don't think so? I don't know. Like I almost feel like he will do it where they come in at least the last 20, 30, and then like start against Forest. But this was a painful. I mean, it was a painful watch throughout, even when it was 0-0. I'll be honest with you, it was not the most fun watch. You would think a game against Spurs would be open and exciting. Maybe we blew our load last game or something. I don't know, but the gang, you guys will be back tomorrow night with Mecca, so I'm sure there'll be more about this game, especially as well as looking ahead to the weekend. I'll be back Friday morning with the crazy gang, the reckless crew. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you guys then. Take care.